Welcome to the Kingdom Men Transfer Man Nation podcast, brought to you by our sponsor, the Acquisition CEO. If you have a question about buying or selling a business, hit him up in the link below. I've got a good friend of mine on today, a local myth, a local legend, builder guy, hard to get a hold of. We had to schedule this a couple months in advance. Ross, so tell us who you are, what you do, and then we'll jump in.
All right, so I am Ross Ledford. I'm one of the owners of the Barndo Co. We build barndominiums nationwide, typically right now on the southeast in Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, and Tennessee.
That's pretty cool. Yeah. So just before we got started in this thing, we were talking about the concept of what a barndo is and like how 3 or 4 years ago, people had this idea, like you'd hear like gearheads or farm people like, man, I'm going to build a house in my garage kind of thing, or like I'm going to build a metal building. And so you had to go through that journey. Tell everybody what a barndo is.
So what's really cool about a barndominium is it's an exterior structure. The perimeter of the building is completely load bearing. Everything inside the home, all the walls interior wise, are non-load bearing. So if you grow up and you're like, hey, you and your wife have a kid and this is your forever home, we're always considering is it your forever home? Yeah. Typically when you're having a kid, no, it's not. This is not your forever.
You're going to change something.
However, if you get down the road where you're in this house 10, 12, 15 years, you ain't got to call a general contractor. You don't have to call a residential contractor and say, hey, can I take this wall down? Tear it down.
It ain't load bearing.
Knock your stuff out.
Yeah.
So it's been a really cool situation where it's post frame. And so the entire exterior structure of our buildings are 2x6 structure with a 6x6 post. Wow. Suspended metal trusses. That's pretty much our signature move.
So your exterior walls are 2x6, because in most residential construction, exterior walls are 2x4. So not only is this thing structural from the ground up with these 6x6 posts, buried in the ground, but you got 2x6 exterior walls. That's right. That's pretty dang strong.
They're huge. On top of all of that, it's a standard in our company that we fully encapsulate these houses. So we're spraying open cell foam from the slab of the home all the way to the ridge. So after we build this beefed up structure, then we turn around and glue it together with a spray foam. Yeah. Bro, we're getting readings where we can get up to 107 mile an hour wind ratings on a residential structure. Yeah. Which is insanity.
That is crazy.
It's insanity.
So what's crazy about that too is you've built basically, a lot of people, think about it like an Amazon shipping box. You build the box, and then on the inside you could do whatever you want to. That's right. You can have garage space, you could have a loft. How high can you go?
So we have them up to 26 foot tall eaves. Okay. I can get them higher, but again, everything that we touch is structural set of plans. Yeah. We talked about that prior. If the engineer says we can do it, we'll do it. Yeah. But we always lean toward the side of
26 feet,
safe.
Though, 26 feet, high. You can get a vaulted ceiling, you can get, a nice high. Loft. That's high.
That's right. If we have one right now that's up in this area that has a 30-foot eave on it. It has PSLs instead of 6x6s.
Wow.
So that one is humongous. It is a castle.
Cool.
It took some extensive engineering to make it work.
So you build the outside, you build a super strong envelope, all that kind of thing. But again, back to like a lot of people, they had this thought about what is a barndo, and maybe they were going to do this thing. And a lot of people, I get this question a lot being in real estate. People are like, hey, I want to put up a metal building. Do you know anybody that builds a metal building, and then we can finish the inside? And a metal building is a lot different.
Okay, so let's unpack this entire situation.
There we go.
A red iron building, which would be steel red iron poles,
like a
commercial
shop.
Building. That's not what we do. Can we do it? Absolutely. Right. We're licensed to put up a red iron building. We know how to do it. It's not in our wheelhouse because it's not something we do every day. Right. However, you can do that. Just keep in mind, between every one of those purlins, between every one of those red iron posts, you're still going to have to frame it anyway. Right. You're not going to bypass or get something better by going red iron. Right. With our situation, you have the same structural integrity as that same wind rating of a red iron building. The only difference is we're boring holes through poles. We can, run your MEPs through these poles. It is a great, great alternative to being slab on grade. Yeah. The other thing is we don't put any posts in the ground. And that's the reason why. Absolutely not.
So that's a cool thing. Okay.
Absolutely not.
No posts in the ground. And I like that because they rot.
That's right. And the biggest thing is 6, 7 years down the road from now, I don't want a situation where I have a client that I'm running from, A, and B, I don't want him to call us and say, hey, I feel like my house is sinking. Mm-hmm. And I'll go out there and say, hey, not a problem. Pull the siding off, pull the sheetrock off. I want to see the bottom of that post. Right. because it's right there.
Yeah.
I know for a fact.
So
it's not 6 foot down in the ground, 4 foot down in the ground.
Pouring a concrete pier and then putting on top?
So what we do is we pour one giant monolithic slab, and they're beefed up footers. So we pour a gigantic footer on these houses, and then we bolt these sturdy wall brackets down and then set the post inside of it.
That's pretty cool.
And so it was really neat. Well, not neat for one of our builds, but during Christmas this past year, we had a volunteer firefighter. He's in good health. But he left the road at 3 a.m. in the morning and ran through the corner of one of our buildings. Our building didn't shift, but he sheared off one of those plates, sheared off a 6x6 post, but the building stood, which is extremely different than a regular 2x4 construction. Yeah, so you're gutting a house. When we found the guy inside the house in his vehicle, he was sitting in the living room. The whole entire vehicle was sitting in the living room.
That's wild.
So. It's on our Facebook.
I was going to say, I didn't see
it's
that
on our Facebook. Every Christmas, man, we get some crazy story.
That's wild.
The Christmas prior, we had cows destroy a house.
I saw that one. Yeah. I've seen that one.
But every Christmas, Thanksgiving, just stay tuned. Stay tuned.
That's funny. When I was in the insurance business, same thing. It was like the holidays. Like I had a lady, she called the emergency hotline and I was kind of the agent on call. Tree fell on her house. It was Christmas Day.
Oh, no.
Like a huge oak tree. She woke up early to wrap some Christmas gifts. This tree fell on her bed. Like it would have killed her. It was crazy. Yeah. Another thing too that a lot of people they ask this question. They're looking at these cheap carport style buildings on Facebook Marketplace and that kind of stuff. And I know the difference, but for the people out there that are going to listen to this thing, we're going to talk about Barndos. Share with them the difference between that as well, because some people know red iron commercial, but that's a different animal.
It's a completely different animal. The carport space is, cold rolled steel.
Yep.
The technology behind it, I'm not here to say that it's not possible to make it work.
Right.
Based on, it's kind of like you and I love vehicles, bro.
Yeah.
I've seen your rods, man. I've seen that there are some badass vehicles.
Yeah.
Are we good to cuss on here?
Yeah.
All right, badass vehicles. Y'all, if you don't know Justin, he's got some super bad rides. The deal is this, is that you and I both, when we go to Ford, we're going to go in there and we're going to buy a badass truck.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
It's kind of like showing up to Ford and being like, "Hey, man, do y'all have a Kia in the back, or
right.
or like a
Hyundai,
like a Daewoo somewhere here, and we can put a Ford emblem on it."
Right.
That's literally what you're doing when you get in that carport stage where you're doing cold rolled steel. A lot of people say, "Hey, you're good," and they have an engineer stamp that says it's possible. I will tell you this: if you have a carport and you think you're going to choose to live in it, more power to you.
Right.
There's people that make decisions that are worse than that.
Right. Right.
But I'm just not here to say it with all of the options.
Yeah.
That's the greatest option. You know what I'm saying? So.
Yeah. Well, and even framing up the inside, like, when you have the pole barn, you have wood stuff to fasten to and all those kind of things. And you were talking about running, mechanical, electrical stuff through the poles and things. When you have a carport style building, it's just not it's not the same. It's different.
Absolutely not. So it's a very light grade material.
Yeah.
And just keep in mind, you have to create the box.
Mm-hmm.
Once you have the box created, then because you have all of this cold rolled steel inside the house, you're basically framing literally on the inside of that wall or in between those things.
That's
so
right.
You're doing the same thing again.
It's the same thing.
Just let us build.
Right. Just
slab on grade.
Let them do the thing.
And you're good. You're good.
So a question that I've actually gotten personally doing what I do, they're like, "Hey, do you know anybody that builds the shell and then we can finish the inside?" So is that a product that you guys offer?
Yes.
Okay.
So what we do is we offer shells.
Okay.
And we offer completed houses. We can do agricultural buildings. Our niche is always shell or residential houses.
Yeah.
With a shell, 9 times out of 10, you being a realtor, this. Most banks will turn you down. They will not allow you to build a shell and then let you kind of finish it.
Right. Bank don't work that way.
We don't mind doing that, and we have some lenders, Prime Lending, shout out to y'all. They do a really, really good job. I don't know if you have a lender that does that.
No, I don't.
Prime Lending does a really good job with it. Ag South does a really good job with it.
Ag South does a good job.
The catch with those is that the liability. And let's talk about that for a minute. Let's land this plane.
There you
go. When we build a shell, we are a licensed builder in the areas that we build. When I build you a shell, you're hiring the Barndo Co. as a subcontractor. I will not pull your permit.
I got you.
And here's the reason why.
There's the thing. Yeah.
Here's the reason why. We are licensed to build any house that you want to build. The catch is that if you're finishing it, I can't be the one to build you. I can't build you the car.
Right.
and then you say, hey, I'm going to put the crash structure in it. I'm going to put all the wiring in it, and then it burns down, and they come back to me.
They come back to you.
That's a no. Absolutely not.
Yeah.
So if you're on board with that, taking the full liability,
which is a lot, and a lot of people, and I've seen, I mean, you know, I'm thankful a lot of people could do a lot of things, but on the flip side, it's not, you can't beat a man at his own game. And building and construction is a unique process. The finishes, just the subcontractors that you deal with, the contracts between you and the subcontractors. When somebody who has no real experience in running a construction project, it's a great idea if you want to play with some Legos maybe. But on the flip side, if you don't have that or you've never done that, you could get yourself in a lot of risk.
A lot of people do it because they think they're saving money.
Right.
And some people do save money because they know the construction game.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know, I've always heard the story, you know, my daddy used to be a builder and I know what I'm doing. Good. That's great. I hope it works out for you.
Right.
But here's the catch. About 9 times out of 10, we build a shell.
Yeah.
2 years later, you're still building that shell because you don't know what you're doing.
Right.
And it's where we would have finished that shell in 6 months.
Yeah. Because that's
so it creates where you think you're saving money. If you can afford to live in the living room for 6 months or a year or indefinitely because you don't have time to do it, or I hate to say it, we have seen it where people run out of money.
Sure.
A lot of these shells are not financed. They are out of pocket. Yeah. And you get, you know, we drive down the road all the time, man. You see a half-built house. Yeah. That's what's happened. They ran out of money.
I have seen that several times where people do the same thing. They go buy a piece of land and they think I'm going to build a house, and they start this whole process and they're doing the whole thing and they're hiring subcontractors. And then somewhere down the road, I get wind of it and they're like, hey, you know, I've had 13 people out, and there's two sides of that. They've wasted their time, but they're also getting a bad name in the subcontract space where everybody at the supply house in the mornings is like, hey, listen, oh, you on that job? Don't call them. You don't want to go over there.
Yeah. But the biggest thing that breaks our hearts is that when you're dealing with people, I think that it really tore me and TJ up. TJ and I come from the background of being the sub. So I ran a roofing business. He ran a roofing business. We did a lot of things together. Those are small contracts. Okay, so you're not dealing with people's entire nest egg of their money.
That's right.
There are a lot of people, 99% of the people that come to your table, you know this, every dime that they have, they're putting in a home.
Right.
If they build that shell and they run out of money, you have just gambled 99% of your money for nothing.
Right. And you can't. And there's probably 3 or 4 for sale right now.
It's terrifying.
They're hard to sell. Because now you've got something, you're trying to recoup your cost, you're trying to get top dollar, you're in a time crunch, you're in a financial crunch. But you selling your dream home, what you wanted to build for somebody else to come along and finish, they're going to have to get a deal because they're not going to it's not going to be exactly what they want.
Well, see, that's an issue. The other issue is that a lot of people say, well, if you build us the shell, I've got a contractor to come in and finish it. That's cool.
Yeah.
But just understand, if he comes in, if you've pulled the permit, he might not have a problem with it. If he gets the shell and then he goes in to supply his license to finish the shell, 9 times out of 10, they're going to balk.
Sure.
They're looking at the same liability I'm looking at. Like,
they're not going to be happy.
He might come in, but he doesn't know me.
Right.
He doesn't know who I am.
Yeah.
We don't have any sort of relationship. He's never worked for me. He's never been a sub. And so if he comes in on one of our shells and literally doesn't know what he's looking at because the technique of how we build is so new,
he may not even be comfortable with it.
He might not even be comfortable with it.
I've seen people have, even recently in my life in some professional things, I've had people give me opinions of things they have no idea what they're talking about. And I'm like, you just said that because what you think. You don't actually know. So I could see that being true where you may get this old-fashioned contractor or your dad or uncle or somebody that comes in that, okay, we'll finish this thing. And they're like, this is a garage, you know. Well, no, it's got engineered set of stamped drawings.
The craziest thing I think we ever have is people show up and they'll say, well, if I was the builder,
right,
this is what I would have done.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting with a set of structurals in my hand and going, I'm the builder. I have an engineer that has a stamp on this.
Right.
They can't differentiate between what is emotional and what is contractual.
Yep, so true.
And so we have the same situation with clients where a lot of times they'll come in and say, I'm angry. I want to complain. There's a difference. Are you complaining or do you actually have a point of what's going on, a legitimate problem? We can listen to complaints all the time.
So I'll tell you a funny story. Just yesterday, I got this lake lot on Kiwi for sale. And guy goes out there, guy calls me, he says, hey man, I've been out there checking out this property. I'm real interested in it. I can't really figure out the price on it that you're asking. I said, okay. I said, well, tell me where you're coming from. You know, like what you thinking? He said, well, I talked to the neighbors. I said, okay, well, what the neighbors say? He said, now these people live on Lake Kiwi, and you and I both know to get on Kiwi on the water with a dock is $1 million.
That's right.
And to get a house or anything is $1.6 million, so all day long. This lot's $350,000. So I'm like, okay, what the neighbor say? He said, well, the neighbor paid $180,000 for it. I said, okay, well, when did he buy it? 4 years ago. Okay, all right, 4 years ago. I said, and he has a little lakefront lot. I said, ask him if he'll sell it to you for $180,000. Right? He's like, he said, okay. I said, he gonna say no. You know why? Because he now knows, he may think that 350 is high. He has an opinion about something that he has an emotional investment in. He's telling you his 2 cents. He ain't gonna sell you his for what he paid for it 4 years ago. He's gonna say, hey, I want $1 million. That's you know? That's right. And so the guy was like, oh, I see what you're saying. But same kind of thing like what you're saying. Even in business too, I run into this a lot, like coaching business owners and entrepreneurs, like you have to take the emotions out of it a lot of times, and you have to think with facts and be objective. And just like you're saying with drawings and those kind of things, and I tell people this all the time, my feelings mislead me. Every time I get my feelings involved, that's not a good result. You know what I mean? Right. That's right. I feel like doing a lot of things or not doing a lot of things, and that can get me in trouble. It can be very expensive.
One of the greatest things, like a lot of people will know the dynamic between me and TJ. TJ is the visionary. I'm the guy behind the scenes as the integrator. Right. One of the greatest things that I had to learn coming from where I came from to today, there was something that happened in our business, and I was like walking down the hall in sales, and I was ready to burn the place down because of a mistake. And he stopped me in the hallway, and he was like, Ross, calm down, take a breather. It's emotional. It's not contractual. Bro, I have lived by that ever since.
That's so good.
Because he was right. I was emotionally upset because what had happened. But I needed a breather to go back and say, why did this happen?
Yeah.
One of the greatest things he's very good at doing is saying, why?
Yeah.
Why, Justin? Yeah. Why did this happen?
Yeah.
It's because you didn't put an SOP in place.
How do we fix it?
How do we fix it?
Yeah.
Whose fault is it really? And he'll look at you and go, it was your fault.
That's exactly right.
It's your fault.
You got to take the ownership of that thing.
Yeah. I'm so glad you're so mad.
Great.
Go in the mirror and punch that dude in the face.
Yeah.
I mean, he's literally really good at that. And so
he's good at that stuff.
It really reset my mind to go, are the bone structures in place for this business to stand?
Right, for it to win.
And for it to win. Yeah. And so once you reset your business, because, anybody, you drag this thing from the dirt, bro.
That's it.
Same thing with you. You drug your business from the dirt. Yeah. You get it up on its feet. You're not emotional.
Yeah.
You love this thing.
That's right. It's like a kid.
It's a kid.
Yeah, you spend so much time and effort in it. Yeah.
But there's a point in time when as the owner of a business, you come to a crossroads, and it stops being emotional.
Yeah, it has to.
And that's how you make money.
That it is. That's where there's a shift. There's a moment in your entrepreneur career where you've done the thing, and then you feel real good, and you're all this, and you are the all emotional thing, and then typically that's when a mentor comes in. Because
that's right.
A mentor, another really successful business owner comes in. He's like, hey, bro, you got to take your emotions out of it. Like, you've done a good job getting here. High five.
I mean, we were talking a couple of weeks ago on back and forth, and Mike Claudio sent me a thing about when your commitment is greater than your feelings.
Yeah.
Bro.
Man, that's it. When you have purpose and you have passion and you can take your feelings out of it.
That's some strong shit. Right
it is, man. When I talk people like even that I coach and I hear them and they'll call me up and they're just all mad and I'm like, okay, what are you mad about? Like, first off, let's just ask that question. Yeah. What is it that you're actually really mad about? And then we reflect on, hey, the extreme ownership piece is like, hey, whose name is it on the side of the truck?
There you go.
It's your name on the side of the truck.
That's right.
So guess what? I have good news and bad news. Bad news is you created the problem. Good news is you demand to fix it.
Yeah.
You just got to do the fixing.
Yeah.
But a lot of people, and I think let's talk about that too, they get hung up right there. And their career, they live, even dealing with subcontractors and stuff, they live in that emotional space. Like, you ever deal with subcontractors and you're on the phone and you're getting emails and texts and you're like, dude, this should be like 3 lines, not this whole paragraph. All of this is unnecessary.
One of the hardest things, I guess, of all time in production, when our director of construction came in, he came from a background of doing 1,000 houses a year.
Wow.
And so he came in and he was like, the way you're doing this is completely wrong.
Yeah.
And we're of the philosophy is that I don't need to invent the wheel.
Yeah.
He already knows it.
I'm with you, man.
Why would I question him?
Right. Let him do his thing.
Let him do his thing. So he comes in and he's sitting and he goes, who is this sub? What does he do? How many crews does he have? And we were like, well, it's like some sheetrocker is his cousin. He was like,
Right.
no, it don't work for you no more, bro.
Right.
He does not work for you any longer. He said, secondly, the biggest thing is when he came in, we started rolling and gaining some traction.
Yeah.
And then he called stop again. And he was like, nope, it's come to my attention that y'all have all these little back end favors. Well, this sub's getting a favor. You know, you did this for him and he's expecting their favor from you. He said, there's no favors in business.
That's
Zero.
it.
He said, because what ends up happening is you create a crutch.
Yep.
And they expect it over and over and over. He said, it has to be clear, concise, wholesome business that no one is owed a favor.
Yeah.
This is X is what is owed. X is what will get paid.
And here
we're
it is.
good to go.
Yeah.
He said, because if you live by that rule, he said, you no longer have the situation where he got this job, but I wasn't supposed to get that job and blah, blah, blah. The drama gets cut out.
Dude, that's it.
When the drama is gone.
The ship sails.
Dear Lord.
The ship sails.
Right.
So I had a guy one time, and I think he was a builder, a custom home builder out on the lake, and he told me one time, he said, you either get paid or you do it for free. There's no favors.
Yeah.
Like, he's like, if you do it for free, you can quit. You can get out, and everybody can go home. You can be mad at each other, but at the end of the day, you can be like, listen, I was doing it for free.
Yeah.
Wasn't checking out. He was saying the same thing. He's like, when you do the favor thing, whatever business you're in, when you do favors, things go south because you're not going to give it you 100%. Because at the end of the day, we're entrepreneurs. You're in business to make money, and those favor things, they usually don't. They almost never shake out.
If I was to ever get, if I could go back,
Yeah.
or if someone came in here today to sit with us and said, hey, I'm going to start a construction business.
Yeah.
My mindset switched because I used to be the opposite. I used to be like, nah, screw that guy. We haven't give him nothing.
Right.
And what's crazy is between you and TJ and Nick and all these guys that poured into me, it is about impact.
Yeah.
I'm not threatened by anyone.
Yeah.
If my guys, every one of my builders, my project managers, I'm pushing for them to get their builder's license.
Yeah.
Not because I want to, I don't want them living as slaves.
Right.
I want them to want to work here.
Yeah. You want to be empowered.
And I want them to have a builder's license to say, hey, when you're on a job site and an inspector shows
I'm
up,
qualified to say this.
he can look at you and go, I'm just so glad you're here to look at Barndo's job.
Right.
And I appreciate it.
Sure.
And when he says something that says, hey, this is not the code, and then he wants to balk, he can say, not only am I a builder for them, I'm my own licensed builder.
Right. I've been through
But to see those guys, their mind change.
Right.
Because they've lived under other builders where they'll say, no, I'm not signing for you to get your license. That is fear mongering.
It is. It's like dictatorship.
What in the world?
We
bro?
should live in a world where we all want each other to win.
I want him
we
to
should
win.
be clapping for each
Yes.
other. Hey, man, I want you to live your best life. I want you to do the thing. Oh, you want to build a business? Great. Let's go do the thing.
Do you know that when the moment that we said it, me and TJ made the decision, say, hey, we're going to make sure that every one of our guys gets a fair shake at the test.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to sign for them.
Sure. That's huge.
It increased our we're following, bro. We are data driven.
Right.
Like we are tech heavy. We track our productive state.
Yeah.
All the time.
All the numbers.
We increased our productivity by like 400% just that 1 week.
Well, and what's crazy is it's probably because when you live by fear, when you have a fear mindset, which when you don't want other people in your business or around you to get better, that's a fear mind. You're afraid that they might outrun you, right, or outpace you. And guess what? There's somebody going to.
Yes.
There's always somebody bigger, somebody faster, somebody stronger, whatever it is, somebody bigger bank account. There's going to be. So when you just eliminate that and you go look yourself in the mirror and you do the best thing you can every day, it takes the fear off the table. But even as a leader and a business owner, you take that off the table for you guys, your staff and your teams. They're like, they believe in us.
Yes.
And so like they're empowered and encouraged instead of like, oh man, they don't want me to do anything. Like I'm just here to do a job. Now they're part of it. You're invested in them and they're investing in you.
Yeah. If you could sit down with your staff, and it's the same thing we do with our staff. We sit down with them. In fact, this morning we did a strategic checklist where I asked them 20 questions.
Yeah.
Operational checklist. I want to know what you feel about our company.
Yeah.
How you feel about our company. And I don't want you to put your name on it. When you get done, put all your papers in one area. Don't put your name on it. Mix them up. I don't care what happens. But I need to know the status of our company today. Do you love working here? I want you to love working here.
Sure.
If you don't, I want to know why.
Need to know why.
I want to know why. At our quarterlies and at our annuals, we bring in staff. We bring in marriage counselors. We bring in financial counselors. Yeah. Not because we need it,
right,
but because I want our staff to go, hey, man, I don't care to know your business.
Yeah.
But if you have an issue with your wife,
let's work on it.
Your situation at home, pours over into your situation here. If your house is on fire,
you ain't gonna be good at work.
Your job's on fire.
Your job's on fire.
Job's on fire. You can walk out to somebody's truck. I can tell you to the moment. If I walk out to their truck and their truck is somewhat put together, and I give in mind, this is project managers.
Sure.
Okay, they live out of their trucks. But if it's organized,
you can tell.
That dude is money.
Dude, I'll tell you, a business owner asked me one time, he had about 50 employees, who we were talking about interview strategies. And I said, well, go for a ride in their car, right? Let them drive you around town.
Yeah.
Because first off, when you get in, like I always think, I love the concept of being a good steward, right? I got a truck. I should be a good steward. I should take care of it. I should wash it. I should put my stuff up, put my shit where it goes.
That's right.
My front yard, I should mow my grass, right? Things should be taken care of. So I agree with you 100%, but then also like the way people drive, like the way they handle themselves in traffic or high stress situations, you can pick up in a car ride real quick. Like if you spend spend time with somebody in a car, you're going to find out.
Yeah.
No, I agree with you 100%. That's so true.
It's there was a switch that TJ and I had once we got the business from the dirt.
Yeah.
And it started growing.
Which it grew fast.
And it grew fast. But, we paid our dues.
Sure. That wasn't easy.
And we are still paying our dues from that. A lot of people look at it and go, man, y'all really did something. It was a blessing from God that it grew as fast as it grew.
Yeah.
But just understand, it's just like True Kathy. The death of a business can also be the growth. Like if it grows too fast.
And you can't hold it.
And you can't contain the mess, bro. You're talking about bad reviews. They'll come in like a waterfall.
And it will eat you alive.
They'll eat you alive.
So back to the thing, though, like good on you guys, though, for being able to look at your employees and ask those tough questions and to the staff. Because I know you, and this is what I love about y'all. And TJ's a great guy. Y'all care.
Yeah.
Right. You care because you know it makes a difference. And it obviously is a reflection. It's so true. It's reflected in your numbers. But most business owners can't take the heat. And that's why they park in the parking lot of good instead of growing into greatness in their life and in their business, because they can't ask those tough questions. Hey, man, if you don't like me, if you don't like here, you don't like being here, you don't like the bathroom, whatever it is you don't like, I yelled at you, I hurt your feelings. We can't have those conversations and come to a heart to heart. They can't take that heat. They can't ask 20, 30 people to fill out a form and say, hey, why don't you like me?
No.
You know what I'm saying?
No, I actually watched our leadership meeting, our team draw up.
Yeah.
And I was like, guys, that when they drew up, it let me know immediately that they knew something that I didn't know.
Sure. But that's freeing.
But it was freeing. Yeah, it is freeing. But in that same moment, a lot of business owners, they hold on to the KPI as though it's theirs.
Right. Man, so that's so freaking good. That's why I want to have you on here, man. And next time we'll have to get TJ in. Yeah. I know he's traveling, but you guys, just the way that you're building, the way that you set your pride down, the way that you have built this thing and what you guys are doing and the way that you're doing it with your staff, I'm like, I'm like clapping.
Yeah. Winning's fun.
It is fun.
It is fun. Okay. But yeah.
That's good.
I greatly appreciate it.
Yeah, you too, man. Appreciate having you on. Thanks, Ross, for being on the podcast today, man. It's been a blast. I want to give another follow-up shout-out to our sponsor, the Acquisition CEO. If you want to check out a business, hit him up in the link below. And as I always say, let's go do some winning, bro.
Awesome. Let's win.
See ya.